I need you guys to understand that your mind and your outer reality are the same thing. They're the exact same thing. There's no difference between your inner world and your outer world. They're the same. It's not just that they're linked, because they're not separate from one another. They're not two separate entities. So therefore, they are one and the same. So therefore, there is no link, right? So what you have in your subconscious mind will immediately become your reality, because your subconscious mind is your emotional body. And essentially, the way that you interact with yourself is going to be the way that the universe or the world interacts with you. Because people think that God is like some big person in the sky, some big man in the sky that is just like dictating our lives and giving us a bunch of rules to adhere to as human beings, but that's not the case whatsoever. God is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. Like, God sits within you. So how can God give you something if you haven't first given it to yourself? Even in mind, right? Actually, first in mind, first in your mind. So there's absolutely no separation between us and who we are and how we see ourselves and the way that the universe sees us and treats us, the way God sees us and treats us. Now, if we understand who we are on a deep level as being children of God, as being God's child, and as being very precious to the way the universe is working and carrying everything out, then we have achieved self-understanding, and we will be able to tap into God's love. And we will be able to tap into truth. But unless and until we see ourselves for who we are, we're going to keep thinking God is impersonal to us. We're going to keep thinking there's a separation between our life experience and God. That's not true whatsoever. God is immediate, and He is like constantly observing. He's a silent observer within you. And when we realize this, we realize like, oh my God, I've been playing myself this whole time by attributing truth to certain things in my reality that are not serving me. So why are they there? We decide what ideas are truth and what ideas are not truth. And so often we accept truth to be something that may not serve us, like, oh, I can't get out of this situation, or oh, that's too hard for me to do, or I'll never be like that, or things like this, right? So we accept these things as our truth, and that's where we make our first mistake, because we get to decide what is true for us. See, when you realize that, the whole thing changes. The whole trajectory of your life changes, because suddenly you wake up to the fact that, oh my God, I've been in control this whole time. And it's through my feelings of things, it's through my emotions of things that I have been creating. The subconscious mind understands emotion. So when we are experiencing emotional events happen to us, these things get recorded in our subconscious mind. That's why trauma, even though the word sounds heavy, it's something that everyone has. It's just a split from the self. That's it. We are traumatized when we play too much in our ego. We are traumatized when we have a grandiose perception of ourselves that may be over or underinflated. This is trauma. Because it's a unnatural way of perceiving reality, Reality is very, very easy to navigate. It's just about paying attention. That's why you'll hear, be here now, be in this present moment now. What does that mean? What does that mean? To define something as a present moment will also define the opposite of it, right? So let's not even say that. Let's go deeper. To be here now means to wake up, to pay attention, that you are the sole driver of the vehicle that is cruising through your reality. No, that is your reality. That is your reality. Like, you are in charge of this whole orchestration. There's nothing that you're not in charge of, from the way you look to the way you, to the skin that you have, to your hair, to the body that you carry, like to how much money you make, to who surrounds you. You are always inputting a certain code into the algorithm of universal construction, okay? And this is always playing out inevitably in every moment. That's why there is such a thing as a butterfly effect that happens every single moment. From the beginning of this audio that I started recording and then to right now, we have experienced multiple shifts. Like, that time will never come back. In fact, I'm a whole different person than I was when I started this audio. And so are you. And we don't know it. That's the thing. We don't know it, though. So we can't possibly productively shift. Instead, we keep thinking we're the same person we were before, even though we'll never get that time back. So how on earth are you the same person, right? You're not, right? So because a certain amount of fourth dimensional time has passed, and we are governed, like our physical reality is governed by the 4D because it's the third dimension, right? However, we are above the 4D, so we can infiltrate it and code what we want onto it. Thereby, we should understand that, like, we are the operators of this whole system, and we should realize that we are different. We are different people than we were when we started recording this audio, right? It's about paying attention. It's about being awake to changes and allowing them, accepting them. To be accepting of change is to always be progressive, because you can't stop change, right? You can only code your way through it. You can only reality shift your way through it, reality code your way through it. Guys, we are the operators of this whole system. And this is like so crucial for people to understand, because this empowers them once again to change everything immediately, right here and right now. And it happens in the mind. Change happens in the mind. It doesn't happen anywhere else, guys. Ask me about this. There have been times in my life where I would be like, God, why is this happening to me? You know? And like, how foolish of me to think that I would be talking to an infinitesimal being outside of me. Like, that makes no sense. Because the universe is within, like God is within. If you don't understand this, consider the fact that we're just visiting here. Right? And we have these bodies, they age, they die. We're all gonna, eventually like not be around together in this way here now. So what can we do? What can we do about that? Well, we can tap in immediately to the present, okay? Like the actual present moment that we are experiencing as an individual consciousness, and do our best to level up on a soul level, to spiritually evolve, right, in any way that we can, through consuming positively charged information or energy, and by either receiving that stuff or giving it outwards. There's no time. We don't have time, do you understand, for any sort of negativity or poverty in any way. Like, if you are mentally impoverished, it's going to reflect outside of you. If you are mentally rich, it's going to reflect outside of you. Because all is mental. The universe is mental. Reality is a series of building blocks that start and end in the mind. That's it. And it's so juicy and fun when you realize this, because then you understand that you are so in charge, to the point where you can have anything you want. Like, you just have to imagine it. You just have to imagine it and discard all other possibility, and stick to your imaginative new reality that is real. It's real. You know how there's like this like trendy thing? There was this trendy thing on TikTok once that was like Delulu's, the Salulu, right? And essentially, well, it was all over social media, but essentially, like, that's the truth. You have to be delusional, so much so that it works. You know what I mean? That's what magic is. Magic is the subconscious. Magic is God, right? And God is way beyond like any sort of human conception. That's why we're here. Earth is kind of a little bit sort of a spiritual prison for us to realize God. And those who don't suffer greatly. You can't possibly expect bliss or happiness or peace unless you center God in the middle of your life, as the focus of your life. Because literally everything else is a weight, right? It adds weight to the soul because it's material, right? So the more material stuff you add, the more karma you add. So that's weight, right? So like money, that's like a big thing people want. Fame, power, fortune, respect. These things are very heavy. They're very heavy because if you are relying on them for happiness, or it's not only that, but even when they do come, because they will, if you live with purpose and all that stuff, you can't avoid fame or money. Like, you can't avoid them. Like, they attach to you because it's karma, right? So when they do come, that's why you have to know how to manage these things. Like, when you have money, you have to learn how to manage it. When you have fame, you have to learn how to manage it, because these things are burdens. So what is not a burden will not require you to manage it, right? Which is your eternal relationship with God, which is, by the way, eternal. It is eternal. You just haven't realized it yet. You just don't know it yet. That's what I'm saying. You don't know that you are the creator of this whole situation, this whole matrix, this whole reality. Now, when I say matrix, there's no negative connotation here, at least in this reference. So this is really cool, because this tells us that we have the ability to deprogram ourselves from any subconscious patternings or codings that we have held so far in our life. And we have a lot from our family, first off, from our friends, from our community, from our society, from the internet, which is a big part of society for us, right? From social media, from all of the negative like programs that have been running to keep us in a state of control, ultimately, right? Because when we are controlled, we're not free, but we are free. That's the thing. It's kind of like that allegory of an elephant sitting in an open cage. Like, you can just walk out, you know what I mean? But you can't, because you physically cannot. You don't realize that you can. And that in itself is jail. It is prison. That's the paradox. So why I'm telling you this today is because I want you guys to understand that you could be in any situation, and you can, and because, why? Because of something called momentum, right? Or karma. Essentially, there's just been forces at play for a very long time that have somehow landed you in the situation that you may be in, whether it's positive or negative, and you've accepted certain things as truth in your reality. So in the same way that you have landed here, whoever that may be, you can end up anywhere else. And Seema, how do you know this? Why should I listen to you? Like, what kind of credentials do you have? Well, I have a few, and I've talked about them in some of my videos. I've been through different things in life: loss, gain, heartbreak, pain. I've suffered with lots of stuff. You know, I've lived a life just like anybody else, and I've also created beautiful, beautiful things. And I've seen both sides of life. So I've practiced this. I've put it into practice. And I've seen it to be true. And I've also seen it to work against me when I put it into practice in the wrong way. See, we're always creating. This is why the law of attraction, the universal way of communication, because the universe is magnetic. So this is why and how the law of attraction never ceases to operate. It's kind of like, have you heard that phrase, God is always working? And so in the same way, the law of attraction is always working. The universe is magnetic. Whatever you emit with your thought, with your vibrational frequency, will return back to you, right? In different ways, in different forms, in different things in your life. Pay attention to your life. Read your life like a book. It is the best book you will ever read. Study it. Study cause and effect. Oh, this is what I was thinking at that time, so this is why this happened. Study yourself and your life. Be very shrewd and awake to your own mental workings, right? Keep a journal if you have to. This is what I have done for a very long time, and I've seen it. I've seen crazy stuff like with this, because it is true that the universe is always listening, and that God is within, and He's always listening, and will always be responding in the form of the so-called law of attraction, which is just the basic terminology that I can use to describe this phenomena. But yes, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I believe it's the second law of thermodynamics. So in the same way, whatever we think, because thoughts are actions, so whatever we think will return in a form, right? I'll give you some examples with me. There have been times in my life where I would be, okay, so I'll give you some negative examples. I'd be really upset, right? And suddenly something would happen, something would break down around me, or I would lose some money or something. And I'm realizing that, okay, it's because of my vibrational state. Very primitive example. Another example is that I used to really like somebody a long time ago. And so I would look up their socials. And one day I stopped. And for some reason, like, something on my Instagram, like, wasn't working. It was just, like, a weird time. Like, I wasn't able to post or something. And then I took some time off from social media, and I, like, went out with my friends, and I celebrated a birthday and whatever. Then when I came back to Instagram, I could post again. And then somebody new came into my life, and they followed me on Instagram, and they gave me so much love on Instagram. And you know, and so, like, things like that, like, just, I could see how when I created a vacuum of space, something new came into my life because of my energy, which sets the intention for all creation, right? So just an example for you. So yes, we are the operant powers at all times, and we have the ability to, with our positive, this is why keeping a positive energy is vastly important, because with our positive energy, we set things into motion for what we want to experience. Nobody wants a bad life. Nobody wants a bad life. We all want to thrive. And so why are we accepting things to be true in our reality if they are not having us thrive or allowing for us to thrive? It makes no sense. You are the creator. Switch it up. Focus on something. Focus on what you want. Only. Like, don't focus on anything else. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Try it and let me know how it goes, because this is the way to create literally heaven on earth by being connected to the infinitesimal God within. God is within. Everything and everyone will try to convince you that you need to, like, go outside of yourself to pray, or go to a certain institution, or, you know, not even that. God is within, so turn within, study your mind, seek to reprogram your mind. Did you know to reprogram your mind, you need nothing except, like, yourself, a wall, and like a sheet of paper or something. Like literally not even the paper. You could just sit in front of a blank wall and become an entirely different person in 24 hours, because that's how strong the mind is. Look at what it's created for you so far, right? Don't underestimate it for a second. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you very much. If you enjoy this audio, be sure to give it a thumbs up, like it, comment, do all the things, share it with your friends, share it with your parents. Everybody needs to hear this. I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.